All right, so The Rings of Power came out this week. It's Amazon's billion-dollar Lord of the Rings show. I've been opposed to it from the get-go. No, let me backtrack on that. When it was announced, I was cautiously optimistic. Said it might be cool to see that age on the screen. And then when they first released any material from it, I was immediately completely uninterested. I will not be watching it.
See, when they first announced it, I was instantly skeptical. And I can't say when they released any media because I don't watch trailers and stuff. Yeah.
You don't. I was very excited initially, and then I kind of started realizing that it was Amazon that was making it. And
so as soon as, yeah.
I was even like when they had all that news about the intimacy coordinator, and they were like intimacy coordinator. I was.
That's right.
Well, but even from them, then I was like, like let's just wait and see how this shakes out. I was still a little. I was trying to, not play my hand so soon. And then
the breakdown too. I think that went out to actors said something about like must be willing to do full nudity and stuff.
Right.
But I wonder if
it's going to be Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but I wonder how many projects at the early stages they're just not sure what's going to be in it. Which isn't a good sign for a Lord of the Rings show. Don't get me wrong.
That should never even come into consideration.
I'm not disagreeing.
I think it's safe to say that all of us were highly skeptical of the show.
So every trailer I saw looked like bad CGI. It looked like, they were really emphasizing weird elements of Tolkien's world. And then every interview with, the most concerning to me, every interview with the showrunners, they did not understand Tolkien's themes. They kept saying, we are really hitting on Tolkien's themes of diversity and inclusion and different races coming together to fight evil. And I'm like, that's not even in the top 20 of Tolkien's themes. That was kind of my... So it's come out, and now it sounds like it's a mixed bag. It's not as bad.
The show is officially out.
As of the second episode, it's not as bad as some people thought.
No, the show is officially out. So. And even though all of us were skeptical to begin with, will the Tolkien heretics please raise their hands?
So you're saying
people who enjoy
people that kind of like the show?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm in that camp. In fact, I watched the 2 episodes.
For the blind or the audio listeners, Jared is raising his hand. And he is wearing a gray hat.
I'm wearing a gray and a green and a gray shirt.
Raising his hand.
And a gray shirt.
And Kyle or not.
And Brandon's wearing a purple shirt.
But also Kyle has not seen the show.
And will not, because I will not.
Okay, so the first 2 episodes I watched, and I found myself last night wishing that there was another episode I could watch.
Kyle's kind of right in terms of like just what he saw from the trailers. He's right that it's not Tolkien.
Right.
That like any element of the trailer that you got, that 1-minute trailer, there's nothing in that trailer to get you, if you're a Tolkien fan, if you read the books, if you're into the Silmarillion, there was no element in that trailer where you can point to and be like, oh, that's from the book. Oh, that's what Tolkien wrote. Like so that was the expectation that they set up in the trailer, is like that we're doing our own thing, we're doing our new thing, we're going to write the book that Tolkien never wrote. And after the first 2 episodes are out now, that's exactly what you got.
I vividly remember being in junior high when the Fellowship of the Ring trailer came out and going, those are all the scenes from the book.
Yes. I remember that feeling, seeing the trailer for the first time and jumping out of my chair in a room by myself. And
well, to be fair, though, like the percentage of the population that's read the Silmarillion and been able to sort of come up with some kind of storyline through the Silmarillion is like a very small percentage of the population.
Yeah.
So Dan is absolutely right, and I would like to caveat all my future statements with the understanding that this is not Tolkien.
Yeah.
This is not Tolkien.
So you have to set it aside. You say, here's what Tolkien's world is. Here's what Tolkien's characters are.
Yeah.
Okay, this show is not that. Let's set that aside.
Yeah.
That's we all agree. Now, is this a good show?
I'm with you.
But
I feel the same way.
And I think I come down on a different line than you guys.
Yeah, you probably do.
And for me, I can't even separate it. Like, if you're going to put Tolkien's name on a show.
Of course. And I totally understand that. I mean, like, with Mission Impossible, I know a lot of people really enjoy the new Mission Impossible movies. I cannot watch them because of the utter disrespect from the first movie.
Like, to the original.
Yeah, from the
to the first movie.
For the first movie.
Well, the movie was
a TV show.
It was an adaptation of a TV show.
Yeah, right.
Yes, but because I was a huge fan of the TV show.
You were? Okay.
So the first movie, like, just trounced on that, and I was like,
And the show was an adaptation of Shakespeare.
I cannot enjoy this anymore. So I understand that.
It was much ado about nothing.
So I understand that, and obviously I hold Tolkien in much higher regard than Mission Impossible. So I absolutely understand
quote of the
that.
show.
Yeah.
Can we screenshot the segment 2 notes and put them on the screen for all our viewers to see, because they crack me up. Segment 2, Rings of Power discussion. Everyone is a woman.
This is my
Dan
this
is entering the room.
No, wait. This is my criticism. Actually, I think
Did you write that? Who wrote Everyone is a Woman?
I didn't write that, but that's what we were talking about yesterday. I don't mind having female storylines, but when every storyline is a woman, like the prime character is a woman, and we have 4 disjointed storylines, like you were saying, like, and they're all like female driven, which I'm fine with. Like, that's okay. But honestly,
that happens in real life. And so, like, so far in the first 2 episodes, 2 people have been killed, and both of them were by women. And this made me think about it. And it's like, you see some of the seeds of wokeness coming out, some of the seeds, but it's still within what I have just coined the Wokerton window. Like, it's still possible. It's still possible. And one of those kills is by Galadriel, who I think is pretty cool.
Galadriel could kill anybody.
Yeah, who I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
But
like,
she wouldn't.
it's
I mean, Galadriel is
Dan?
not, though, like physically, like she's not a warrior necessarily. And you would have to, she's powerful on her own. She could just wipe them out, like with her mind bullets or whatever.
But they totally made her character into a Mary Sue character. So like if you saw the trailer or the stuff that they released before the show came out, where they launch her off a sword and she goes and takes down the troll all by herself with like seemingly no effort. They basically, and this is after the troll has like wiped out like 3 or 4 other elite elven warriors. You get this idea. It's like, well, why didn't they just have Galadriel go in there first? Like, it's like, why are they even trying?
Yeah, she was in another room. I mean, granted,
Yes,
she was
sure.
not there when the snow troll showed up.
Yeah.
But also, like, you look
Because
at a
they're
guy
such good
like
writers.
Legolas, who obviously is probably one of the elitist warriors.
Well, I had the same
He
problem
was able
with
to take down those trolls. Like,
I had the same
But it was
problem
sim-
with the
yeah,
Peter
that was-
Jackson
that was
trilogy.
the movie. That was the adaptation from the movie, which isn't like what's in the book.
yeah.
Yeah, so Peter Jackson had Legolas kind of shield surf his way through the trilogy and take down whole elephants all by himself. I had the same problem with Legolas. I saw people that Legolas was trending on Twitter because people were saying, "Oh, you guys are a bunch of misogynists. You just don't like strong female characters." Look,
Right.
Legolas did this, and you guys weren't complaining. It's like, no, I was complaining because I hated those scenes because it totally takes you out of the movie. It's like, oh, here's a 30-second clip of Legolas just being like Superman right
Well, and
now.
there's power creep
Right.
throughout the trilogy, where in the first one, it takes the entire party to take that troll down. And he
Right,
like gravely injures Frodo, you know.
Right.
And there's just, all of them are trying to get this troll
That's
down.
with Aragorn and
Yeah.
Boromir.
And by the last movie, it's more now he's like surfing on elephant trunks and stuff.
power creep's another term I use for Joseph Biden.
Power creep.
He's a power creep.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, let me be clear
Board
too.
gaming
It's not
term.
that again, like
video
I don't
game.
want to come off as a misogynist because I feel like
But there's just so many women in the show, and it just bugs me.
I just hate them so much.
Well, what you're saying though, what you're
No.
getting at is, I think that every subplot right now,
Yeah.
the strong
Yeah.
or the competent or the right character
Are women
are women
or
only.
black?
Thank you for
Yeah,
Dan.
correct.
Thank you for Dan-splaining
Yeah.
my motives. I'm just kidding. No, I do like because, for instance, I hated Captain Marvel, and I think for the same reasons everyone else did. But I loved Wonder Woman, and I love Wonder Woman as a powerful figure that was connected to other people, that had this relationship with other folks, that had a good motive for actually doing what she did. And, Captain Marvel was just like totally disconnected. There's no reason.
Agreed.
No relationships. And I feel like Galadriel's kind of like Captain Marvel a little bit right now. She's got only like this platonic friend that she doesn't really like. Elrond, who she's mad
Is
at. all the time.
Celeborn in the show?
No,
Is he going to be?
Celebrimbor
Is he going to be in the show?
I don't think so. I don't know. He's just not. He's not there at all. He's not anywhere in the show.
And at this point in the time, and I know they screwed up the timeline, but was she married to Celeborn?
There's just too many men already, so
They had to like.
racing.
They had
And
to
also-
make
and
Elrond
also-
all
See,
men.
Galadriel's too busy. She's commanding the armies of the north,
Yeah.
and she's fighting the evil. She doesn't have time for getting married. And
You mean
But also-
the four elves that she travels with? The armies
Also,
of
I have the
North?
theory that since Celebrimbor is such a crucial part to this story, they don't want too many similar names to confuse people.
so, do you guys think that the first 2 episodes that are now out, and by the time this comes out, there'll be another episode out in episode 3? Do you think that they are well written subplots?
Yeah, so let's separate it, like you said, let's separate it from Tolkien.
Now it's the show.
The show good.
So
We have 4 subplots that are going on.
I know a lot of people are complaining about the writing, and to be completely honest, I'm not going to say it's good writing. I just didn't notice that it was bad, and possibly because I thought the shots were beautiful. Like
It was
It's
beautiful.
visually just
Very stunning.
gorgeous.
I have
when
some
the
examples.
dude walks over the hill and you have the two trees. I thought that was just
It
gorgeous.
is totally gorgeous. Yeah, I agree.
And some of the shots are a little Zack Snyder-y, like little dioramas, like really dramatically lit dioramas. But
Yeah, I thought it was gorgeous.
what they're
You
going
say
for.
Zack
They're-
Snyder
they're-
like it's a bad thing.
Well,
there are some beautiful shots. I'll
tell you the thing about the beauty of it, which was great, but it's also like too much of a good thing. Like, every single city that they go to is this vast, like amazing landscape of incredible towers and things like that. Everything's beautiful. And so you don't have like, I guess the Hobbit world is a little bit primitive, but I think everything else is just like really well developed and stuff like that. So I think that in the Lord of the Rings, one of the beautiful parts is that when you get to Gondor finally, after the whole, it's like, whoa, Gondor is incredible. You get to Rivendell. Oh, wow. But it's like these like moments, like it's not every scene is
That's
set.
difference of the ages too, because that would have
Yeah.
been more germane to the third age, I think.
Yeah, you're probably
And then
right.
in this show, they kind of take away that grandeur of like we're walking across a map and we finally get to this
Yeah.
place. They just fast travel everywhere. So
Yeah.
they're in Lindon, which is like the elf capital, and then the very next scene, all of a sudden they're in Eregion, which is like hundreds of miles away. And then they fast travel again. They go to Khazad-dûm, then part of the sloppy writing is that Elrond and Celebrimbor they walk the two of them to Khazad-dûm, and they just show up in the same clothes. They have no equipment. They have no food. They
walked there.
They're just there. It's like
there.
how did they get there? Like,
They walked from
Eagles.
yeah,
Eagles
and it was
brought them,
It
yeah.
took no time. And then the other this is the one bad writing piece that I really hated is they showed up at Khazad-dûm, and then Elrond just goes in and is like, yeah, I'll meet you back home.
Yeah, see you
so the other
later.
guy has to walk home by himself. I was like, what? You're not gonna like try to get him in. You're not gonna try to bring him in. I don't know.
Because it even bothered me a little bit in Jackson's trilogy when Gandalf goes to Gondor to research what's going on with the ring, and he just like leaves and he's like, keep it secret, keep it safe, and then they show him showing up at Gondor, and I'm like, I know you've truncated months of travel, but
Yeah.
I didn't, even on the screen it felt way too rushed to me. Like I'm like, no, you need to show the scope of Middle Earth.
That part was kind of like I think in defense of that, I think it
understand,
was
yeah.
a side. You needed to move the plot along.
I get it.
Would you like
Yeah.
it if they did an entire
Real time.
12 day movie of
I
him
want
just
it in real
going
time.
through the woods?
But you can do a scene of travel or a scene of.
Yeah, no, just a little bit of establishment. Would
I'm
be
not
good.
saying
Yeah.
there's a better way for Jackson to have done it on the screen. I'm just saying that having read the book, you're like, it gives you a much
Yeah,
kind
of
of just
It does.
compressed view of what Middle Earth is.
I would sum up everything I think about it in that we've had 2 hours of show and 4 subplots, and I don't care about any of the characters.
That's
I
not
like Durin and Disa because so the biggest problem is that
You like the black character.
it tells
Disa's
you
actually great.
all the dialogue in the show so far. It tells you that they're friends. It tells you that they're romantic. It tells you that
It's
whatever.
exposition.
It doesn't show you anything except the one scene where you see Durin and Disa. You see their family life. You see something finally, and that's after 2 hours. And I don't care about anything else in the show.
Can I read this because it's really great? It's something that one of our friends that is a Tolkien expert, like Tolkien Lewis expert. She wrote.
Diana Glyer, she's been on this show before.
Yeah, she has been on the show. So what? And she did not write. This is by Michael
quoting
Trout.
someone, yeah.
Quoting someone, she says, "What makes Tolkien's work unique is the moral heart of his story and the consistency with which he maintains it." Rather than reveling in the acquisition and exercise of power, The Lord of the Rings celebrates its renunciation, insisting that the domination of others is always morally wrong. Tolkien is utterly consistent with this morality, even at the expense of his most cherished characters. Frodo has no other choice than to use the ring of power to dominate Gollum, but he still pays for the immoral act when he is unable to complete his quest or to enjoy his life afterwards. Can a company as intent upon domination as Amazon really understand this perspective and adapt that morality to the screen? And I think this is what we're running into. It's a morality issue. They don't understand it.
I'm still partially expecting this entirely to derail. I think possibly I was just taken aback because I was fully expecting to absolutely hate it, and possibly just that lack of not hating it is I mean that's the biggest issue. So I fully expect it to get worse. I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah.
So I'll say also in response to, I was saying like, well, that's not Tolkien. And you're like, well, they don't have dialogue from Tolkien. And I do understand that this is a different challenge than making Lord of the Rings. And while the Hobbit movies are terrible, they're terrible in a different way because they had the script. They could have just made The Hobbit.
See, that's the thing. It's oddly enough, I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed the Hobbit movies.
Because it's probably a better show, in some ways, just because The Hobbit was so bad on so many levels. And it had the added wound of they could have just done this.
Exactly.
there was.
I never even finished the Hobbit trilogy. I haven't seen the third movie.
It's not worth watching. I mean,
Well, the end.
The
is
Battle
just
of Five
nothing.
Armies.
It's
That
just
is-
nothing. The Battle of Five
that
Armies.
is like a few pages in
it's
the
a
book.
similar writing.
Although
what's,
my
what's
kids
the
like
line
it.
when the dwarf is dying and the girl made up girl elf? She goes, "What does she say, Dan? I'm blanking."
I don't know, and I don't
she
care to
says-
remember.
No, you wouldn't have seen it. It's in the
Okay,
third movie.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She goes, "Why does it hurt so much?"
Because your finger is broken.
Your finger's broken.
Why does it hurt so much? Because it was real. So bad. Like, why? What are we doing here?
Hi, Justin Trudeau here. I am so sorry you had to see that. Their videos are problematic, eh? Whatever you do, don't like, subscribe, or comment. It just encourages them, eh? These guys joke about things you shouldn't be joking about. And quite frankly, and pardon my French Canadian, they're real jerks.